Hey everybody, welcome back to Droppin' Dimes. I'm Sal, and here with me as usual, Jamelle. Jamelle, how you doing?
Wonderful, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, doing awesome. Better now that we're talking about hoops.
Yes, sir.
And guess what? I'm excited, man. I know
Yeah.
I'm so excited because today we have our very first guest on Droppin'
Yes.
Dimes. Very first guest, Nathan Hamilton.
Hey, it's a
Nathan,
pleasure.
Yes, sir.
hey man, Nathan, good friend of mine. We another person from church that I know can also beat the drum.
Yeah.
Great at it.
There we go.
Awesome, Nathan. We're all
Yeah,
musicians here. Love it. That's just kind of
great thing to be.
coincidence here.
Yeah.
But we wanted to have somebody come in with us and talk about the round two of the NBA playoffs, the 2021-2022 NBA playoffs. I can't believe it, y'all. 2022. It's crazy. Not to get off on a tangent here, but I kind of with history, I kind of go off of I go off of NBA history because I'm just so into it. And so the other day, I was thinking about my kid, Eli my son, he turned 6 today. I'm like, man, he was born in 2016. And then for some reason, I started thinking about then 2015, 2014, 2 years before that. I wasn't even married yet. And then I thought, oh, man, that was still the Heatles. That was the Heatles. Like, what? LeBron on the Heat? That seems like 20 years ago,
It
So,
does.
which I guess, I mean, it's almost 10 years ago, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
just
11.
insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know, and then thinking about 2011. Speaking of
Yeah.
2011, I thought that today felt like the time is now
day.
kind of day.
Yeah, I
Let's
see you
Yeah.
brought it
go.
out. You brought it out.
Yes.
It's a good day.
So let's get to it, y'all. Here on Droppin' Dimes, we're talking about all the teams, not just the Mavericks. Okay, all right. We are homers here. We've said that every single show. But we're here to talk about all the different teams. And more specifically today, we're going to recap round one, what's been going on, what happened, just in case maybe if you're listening and you don't really watch games and you like to listen, there's people out there that do that. We'll tell
Right.
you what happened. And then we're going to go through our predictions of round two, matchups and predictions, and just go through what we think, as well as kind of last thoughts on the last round. So let's get right to it, guys. Round one. We'll start with the 4-5 matchup. We did that last time. So let's start with the 4-5 matchup in the West. The 4 seed being the Dallas Mavericks
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
versus the 5 seed Utah Jazz. We had game 6 yesterday, Jamelle. You had the correct prediction for this series.
I put myself on the back a little bit there. Yeah.
Right, Nathan did well. What did you have this series going in? And no cheating, okay? Don't tell us, oh, you had it unless you actually did, okay?
No, I thought this series would be 5 or 6. I didn't believe in Utah that much. I've seen too much playoff failure. And I thought it was Luka's time to finally get a first-round win. I thought it was our time to finally get a first-round win in forever. So I was ready for it. I had about 5-6 games. I probably would have told you 5 if you would have asked me earlier.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I had it in 7, thinking with Luka in 7. Without Luka, I had the Jazz in 6. But with Luka, then I thought that the Jazz would have I was actually betting that they were going to take last night's game, and like thinking out how it was going to go. Obviously,
Yeah.
But and even then, even like last night, I was doubting it, until obviously then in crunch time, it was like, okay, the Mavs can totally pull it off, because there was that stretch where we were the team that was on top. We had to control the game, and they would get hot, right? They would get within 1 or 2, and then boom, a 3 from Luka, or boom, a 3 from Dodo, or Reggie Bullock, who's been on fire. That man, woo!
Man, let's
He was
let's,
like,
let's talk about him for
go.
just a second. I don't mean to
Do
take
it.
over what you're saying, Sal,
No,
but
you do it. I want to hear it. Come on.
we're gonna spend most of our time on the Mavs because that's who we all fans of. But Bullock, man, is it not kind of a blessing in disguise that Tim Hardaway Jr. got hurt? Because you think about we love Timmy. Come on, let's be real. We love him. But signed a big contract in the summer. He was struggling this entire season. Until he went the game he went down, I believe in Miami. I think in Miami game, he went down. It's his one of his hometowns, I should say. And he went down with the foot injury. He was actually balling that game, so they were sad to see. But even before that, Bullock was coming off the bench and giving you some good. He always gonna give you some good defense, but he was knocking down some threes. It took a little while for him to get acclimated to that starting role. But man, this dude, it's like he doesn't miss. You know, if he misses, you more shocked on that. So big pickup, man. He stepped up big.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I was afraid it was going to just be another Josh Richardson pickup, you know, where there's high expectations and then it's just like plummets. And it kind of felt that way. Like you said, it took him a little while to kind of get used to being on the Mavericks and just find, you know, kind of gel with the guys. But then as soon as those shots started falling, and it was, he just took off. What do you think about him, Nathan?
I will say, like, coming from the Knicks, which is like a losing franchise, and go into a franchise where you have like some success and some guys who win games, it's a little different. It's going to take some getting used to. But no, I think his two-way play has been awesome. It reminds me of a little bit, to throw it back to 2011, of kind of that Deshaun Stevenson role, where he just comes out and just like he hits open shots and then he plays great defense on whoever we ask him to on the other end. And I think he's going to be huge in the second round series. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely.
Let's go dropping those names. I love it. That just warms my heart right there.
Absolutely.
Stevenson. I mean, last minute things I had about this was it was really interesting. And we didn't get together to talk about game 5, but this is just part of my last thoughts, right? It was really interesting, and I was kind of sweating it out a little bit when Luka came back for game 5, and he was good, right? He was great, played less minutes, and I think that ended up hurting us, you know. And I think Nathan, I was talking to you about it, right? Where that did seem, you were talking about how that night or that game seemed like one of those typical games where we win it because Luka goes off for 45, right? And it wasn't the case because he played less and he was just on that minute restriction. Mm-hmm. And but what I thought was interesting was, I think the reason why it was one of those games was because it was an adjustment for the rest of the team, and you could just tell that right away. We went from being, you know, a Luka-less Mavs where, you know, we're running, we're fast, we're going up, we're running in transition, and things are just clicking that way. I mean, that's just how Jalen Brunson likes to run it, and it was working. Obviously, that's great. To then the slowest team in the NBA, like we were this season. We were the slowest team in the NBA this season, and it was really interesting to see how Luka just demands that. He demands the game to slow down. I think it kind of cost us that game, but and I think I'm saying game 5, but that was game 4. That was my bad. That was game 4, right?
Yeah. And Utah,
game 4. And then thankfully the game 5 and game 6, obviously it was like, okay, we're back. This is who we are. This is how we're going to win. And it was refreshing, you know. I was afraid that I was going to be like, oh gosh, like this adjustment cost us the series and that's it. So
yeah, man.
That's kind of like my last thought on that.
I mean, you called out one of my other predictions I got correct, but I don't mean to brag. But everybody that I know was coming up to me asking my thoughts about game 5, going back home. I said, I have no doubt it's going to be a blowout. I knew it's going to be a blowout because, like you said, the adjustments that took place in game 4, you see the first half, you could tell they were just literally getting used to Luka being back. They've been playing against this specific team, playing a specific scheme the entire time, and now having to totally revamp everything for Luka. But that third quarter, they came out with their hair on fire, and you obviously saw that they start taking it to Utah, came back instantly. And, of course, they made a couple bonehead plays throughout the fourth quarter of that game. But The referee screwed them at the end as they came back and recounted that foul that Mitchell did. It was an offensive foul. Powell missed those free throws, but all in all, I just felt Utah shot. Just like Nathan said earlier, Utah, the history, they had the weight of the world on their shoulders. So I knew Game 5 would be a blowout. Game 6 pretty much went the same way that Game 4 did, but that's the hardest game any NBA player or analyst would tell you to close out, especially for a young team like the Mavs. I mean, it was impressive, to be honest, the way they stuck to it, I should say, and was able to overcome their road adversity because, no matter what, they still are Utah still a good enough team to get a win. But you just got to take it to them. So proud of the Mavs, man. I'm really proud of the Mavs. I'm really proud of them getting over a hurdle. It's a hurdle for Dirk. I mean, for Luka. I call him Dirk, but he's on his way. For Luka's career, man, it's a hurdle. Getting over that first round. It's something to be said about what he has to come, and I love it. I love what he has. I love the surrounding guys around him, and I'm looking forward to talking about the second round because got some great things to say about that.
Oh yeah, Nathan, can you tell me what do you think for the Jazz? Let's kind of shift over to the Jazz real quick, since and again, we don't have to take as long on the other series. We can just give our last thoughts on quickly on some of those teams. But obviously, since we watched this series probably the most out of any of them, can you tell me what are the Jazz? What are they going to be looking for this after this for them for the future as far as it comes to the off season? What do you think maybe is the best thing or what's going to happen with the Jazz essentially going into next season?
I think the best idea you can get is who's their general manager, and Danny Ainge is in charge there now. And if you look at Danny's history with the Celtics and everything he did over there, and it is not afraid to deal anybody and willing to play for the future. And I think we're going to see a decent amount of moves out of Utah this summer. I don't know who. I personally would rather have Donovan Mitchell for the long term. I believe in Donovan Mitchell as a young player who can keep getting better. I think players like Rudy Gobert is kind of where he's going to be for the rest of his career. I think Mike Conley's kind of over the edge now, and Bogdanovich, and
he's so done.
Mike Conley is gone.
I mean, that travel last night was just kind of the ending thing. Will we ever see Mike Conley after this again? And so I think they got to shake things up. I think they got exposed in a lot of ways. Quinn Snyder is a good coach and is willing to change some things, and they've had success, but it's all been regular season success. And we all know that doesn't keep you around. And so I wouldn't be shocked if Quinn's gone and they kind of revamp this lineup, but kind of hold on to Donovan Mitchell and try to build back around him. I think that's what you'll see out of Utah. But I don't think they're going to be afraid to make moves. I think Danny's willing to take some trades and some offers.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, bro. Let me ask you this. What would it look like to start Clarkson and to find another young guy to come off the bench or something like that? Because you look at the Mavs and even Phoenix, so to speak. I think Donovan can primarily run the point. You get a two-guard system like that, two playmakers. Or really Clarkson, he's gonna make plays for himself. But that's why he's a perfect sixth man. But bro, he comes off that bench, he's instant offense. And what would it look like for them to start him? What you guys think?
I don't think honestly, not to rag on Clarkson, but I don't really know if that really makes much of a difference.
Yeah.
I honestly think more than anything, the problem is more so Donovan Mitchell. It's I don't think it matters if Donovan Mitchell can figure out the defensive side, and be more consistent and not just be okay with just dropping 30 and not really affecting the game in any other way. I don't think it really matters who you put next to him as long as they're, a decent player. I don't know if that makes sense, but I really don't think that's where the issue is. I think it's more so with him. And I mean, I agree that I would rather have him for the future, but but to think right now that he is in the same level, and I'm taking, I think it was, I don't even remember who was saying it. One of the podcasts I listened to, I think it was maybe Bill Simmons was saying this, where um, to to think that he's right now in the same category as Devin Booker and Luka and all those guys that are up and coming. I think you're sorely mistaken with how the last 5 years have gone. And I would put him more in kind of the category of that like next tier, which I don't know. You can throw out, I don't know, guys like Bradley
Trey Young,
Beal,
Trey
yeah, Trey
Young, but
Young, Bradley
yeah.
Beal, so CJ McCollum,
Oh
so
no, we'll talk about him later with the next. I mean, later on, but no, CJ, no. But
come
go
on.
ahead, go ahead.
I don't know. I would say I don't know if this question really, but I don't think that's really the issue. I think it's more with him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a centerpiece. I'm not saying he's a fixture. I'm just saying maybe that's an adjustment I would have made this series, I should say, over Conley. But
Yeah.
going to your point, I'll let you get in, Nathan. Going to your point on Donovan Mitchell, I really believe he showed his true character to me in this series. Not saying I don't know what it was. Rather, he's ready just to blow this thing up and he's done, or this is truly something we can see from him going forward. He got a little James Harden-ish about him, because that fake hamstring injury, I've never seen nothing like that in my life. Like he didn't allow himself to feel the impact of it before he was like raising his hand at the bench. I'm like, what are you doing? Then they found the results came back negative to the MRI. I mean, there's nothing that happened to him. I was like, what is wrong? Did y'all see that fake as well? I mean, that showed a lot of character to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. That was like the classic, like, oh, we're getting spanked and I feel a little something. Let's walk off, like.
Bro, that was sad.
Trying to find his way to remove himself from the game. He doesn't want to be out there anymore.
Yeah. Did you have anything else, Nathan, on last few words on the Jazz?
I mean, I'll speak to Jamelle's thing about Jordan Clarkson a little bit. I mean, he did average like 17 and a half off the bench. He's getting more like starter minutes. He's playing like 28 minutes a game. So I can see a way that maybe you think like Jordan Clarkson's a better starter or Mike Conley. I think it's a bad move that Quinn Snyder could have gone with. But I mean, if you watch like the defensive side, which is a lot of struggle too, like they're hunting Jordan Clarkson, but they're also hunting Donovan Mitchell. And that's to speak to the character thing. Like that is the same thing to me as well. If the other team is going after you and wants you guarding the ball, that says a lot about what they think about you. And obviously there's something they see that backs up them doing that. Teams aren't going to just do that if it doesn't make any sense offensively. So clearly there's something going on in the film and what they see statistically that says Donovan Mitchell is a great matchup when Luka has the ball, or even like when Spencer Dinwiddie has the ball, or Jalen. Like we want him guarding our players. And so I think to speak to that character aspect, I think that tells you a lot too.
Right. Yeah. That's it. That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to go too far, but you look at with Jason Tatum, the defensive change and upgrade he's made. I don't know if that's going to be a coaching thing that Donovan can do, but Jason wasn't known as a one-on-one stopper, prior to this year. So if he can do it, I think Donovan has the athleticism to accomplish that as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a want-to thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, series over in 6. It was a great series. It was funny how like it turned out to be one of the more exciting ones when it was, it kicked off the whole playoffs at noon. No one was excited about it really, unless outside of obviously Jazz and Mavericks fans. And I was happy to see it become one of the more tuned in series for sure. So even with the collapse of the Jazz, so. All right, let's move on. Okay, to the 3-6. Whew. I thought this was going to be actually, no, I didn't think this was going to be a sweep. I did, but I predicted it wasn't, and so then I was like, oh, I got this one right. So the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors, and were the 3 seed against the 6 seeded Denver Nuggets. Poor Jokic, man. I feel bad for him. And they take it in 5. The Warriors take this series in 5. Your thoughts, Nathan? You lead us on this one, man.
Man, I thought this was, I feel like the same for you, for Jokic to have been a guy who deserving of the MVP this year if he wins it, and then to go out and get beat in 5 games. I know that doesn't really look good, but like if you look at the team around him, I think the reason he's going to win MVP is because of how good he was with a little bit of talent around him. Like the thing I like to think about is the 8th seed right below them is the Minnesota Timberwolves in the 8th seed. And I think that the difference between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets is not very large. There's more talent on that Timberwolves team that Memphis is struggling with right now than there is on that Nuggets team outside of Jokic. And so to do what he's done with the players around him was really impressive. And I know it looks bad for your MVP to get beat in 5 games in the first round, but and I feel the same way. I thought it would have been a little more dragged out too, but I think the Warriors are getting into a groove where they've got all their guys together now, and everybody's playing every game together. And I think they're getting back in that kind of Warriors groove that we were used to seeing before everybody got hurt.
Yeah, for sure. It's the MVP is a regular season award. Like, come on, people, and that's what he's getting awarded for. We don't know for sure, but I mean, he's going to win it. So
all-time favorite, yeah.
Jamelle, what about you? What are your last thoughts on this series?
I mean, my hats off to Yoke for getting 1 game. That definitely was a big deal. That game 4 was phenomenal from him, and I mean, he's just all around great player. This is when context matters. Just to go on the point when it comes to MVP and how people look at the greatest players in the world. And, we have this conversation every year, who's the best in the world. And Jokic seemed to never be in that conversation. Giannis seemed to be what people are leaning towards the most now. But this is where context matters, because people will point to and say, well, he lost in the first round to Golden State, and you need to point out he didn't have anyone else, so that's when that would matter. But I'm sorry, y'all, I love him. But he's not my MVP. I said mine the other week, and it is Devin Booker. And we could talk about that series later, but it showed in that series there. I think the best player on the best team matters, because that's what's happened so many times. And how could you guys seriously be Dirk and Mavericks fans and not think that's not just playing? That's how Dirk got his only championship. I mean, only MVP. But anyway, neither here nor there. I think Golden State looked very good. Very well, and they closed it out. It was hard. That goes back to those closeout games, because they couldn't even do it in game 4. It's hard. So that's another hats off to the Mavs, in my opinion, for them to close it out on the road. Closeout game on the road is very tough. But them doing that, and I think overall they look great, but they will meet their match here very soon.
Jamelle, dude, here we go. Dirk didn't have Chris Paul. God, 7. Come on, man. Come on,
bro.
Like it was not the same thing.
Chris Paul. Booker, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
You go. Okay, my point here is that Devin Booker is he's a great player. He is their go-to guy when they need a bucket in crunch time. Well, I mean, not even. I mean, there's sometimes is Booker. Sometimes point guard goes 14 of 14 and puts the game away. So I just it's not the same, And I just can't. Maybe Chris Paul leaves and the Suns are still great. That year it's once he's gone, and that year the Suns are still really good and Devin Booker is balling out. Then I'm like, okay, all right. Then I'll give you the MVP. But I can't. Jokic, the numbers that he put up this season are historic. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain numbers, and I feel like we throw that around like, oh, the Shaq numbers, or like, no, this numbers, this, but like he's doing something that hasn't been done in 15 plus years. Insane. Anyways,
Okay, I'm
we
with
don't
you.
have to get to the MVP. Okay, I'll let you bark back. Go.
I'm just gonna say it real fast. So Chris Paul is primarily facilitated the entirety of the season. He will take over a game if he need to, as what we saw yesterday with Booker not having it. He will take over a game if he has to. But majority of the season, they run their offense completely through Booker. He's the only guy that can get a bucket on his own at all times, no matter what the system calls for. He's going to do what he needs to do. He's the leading scorer. It's the same to be said about. It's hard for me to say it, but it's the same to be said about Dirk that year as well. Because Dirk, don't get me wrong, he's the man. But there were several times where Mavs would win a game by 30, and Dirk had 13 points. It's more of at some point during the season, like we saw with the Memphis Grizzlies this year, at some point during the season, the team has so much momentum, have so much fluidity that it just becomes a team effort overall. But so I'm going to leave it there. We don't have to argue that all night. But you did say what you just said about Wilt Chamberlain. And I have to say that kind of cancels out Jokic to me because the numbers are great. But I always lean on the Michael Finley effect. I always tell you, it's called the Michael Finley effect. Somebody got to get the numbers. I'm sorry. Somebody got to score the points. Somebody got to do it. I mean, you get so many possessions throughout a game. Somebody got to score. Somebody got to get the assist. Don't get me wrong. They don't discredit him. But how many people put Wilt Chamberlain in the GOAT conversation? He had all the numbers. They laud over the numbers. We're going to say how great the 100-point game is, even though nobody saw it. How great it all is, but nobody put Wilt Chamberlain in the GOAT conversation, and that's what I'm saying. Numbers can be skewed. I'm not saying yokes are, but numbers can be skewed. I want to know what you do to equate to victories.
Okay. Well, I would say that being the 6th seed with a trash team equates to victories, but all right. I know you're not dogging on him, but I get it. With Will, he didn't win. He didn't win a whole lot, So okay, all right. I digress. Let me give my thoughts on the 3-6. Okay, I hard to say because I actually feel good about the round 2 for the Mavericks against the Suns and our chances against them. I just have a feeling. I have a good feeling, especially Devin Booker. I mean, I guess you could say that Luka is coming off of his injury too, and they kind of cancel each other out a little bit on as far as just the feeling of like what's going to happen. But without getting into the next round, I bring that up because I really think that the big 3 for the Warriors all season they've been talking about, hey, we're going to win this year. They have this like confidence, and it's not an irrational confidence. It's we've been here before. We know what we're doing, and we're showing everybody. We've turned it on. Again, it's kind of weird. It's obviously it's easy to say this and talk about it, and when the matchup was against the Nuggets, I get that, but I'm a little. I would be afraid of them. I'd be afraid of them, and it looks like they're gonna. It looks like they're gonna just march their way up to the Western Conference Finals. Oh. And I really believe it, man. It's not just it. That matters. I think that confidence and be able to back it up, and that just kind of like F you kind of mentality of we're going to just kill anybody who comes on this court. I mean, that means something, and I really get that vibe from them.
They're not killing everybody. They're not killing. They nail biters. They're winning games, but they've been nail biters. Game 3 and 4 was a nail biter.
Did you watch the first half, the first quarter, I guess, of the season?
Oh, I thought you meant the playoffs.
Well, I know, but I'm yeah, sure, but I mean, they did win in 5. So
the context matters. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm just saying the context matters because we acting like that's why I keep saying we acting like they just the 2018 team. Besides, I mean, other than them being more like the 15 team. They're closer to that.
Okay, well, I guess I should say the better approach is that they give me the 2013, even more so the 2014 Spurs vibe. They give me that vibe where I mean people weren't picking them to necessarily go all the way to the finals. I mean, everyone knew that they were good, just like everyone knows that this Warriors team is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have the experience. They have those guys. They had that confidence. They had an upcoming player like Kawhi Leonard. These guys have an upcoming player like Jordan Poole. You know, it's very similar, and they give that vibe of like they can win because they've been there and they know what they're doing. So I just would not be surprised if we're seeing a Warriors Bucks or man whoever smorgasbord of the Eastern the conference that you want to name. So that's all.
You need to put a blue and gold shirt on, bro. I'm
Man,
telling
get
you.
out of here. Nah.
I'm messing with you, bro. You can move on.
I've already said that, and I've already said that there's a path for a Mavericks Heat finals. Let's get three-peat. See that reaction. Okay, let's get away from this series. Let's move on. We're gonna be here all night if we take this long on every single one. Last thoughts on the. Oh, I guess we can't really fully give our last thoughts on the 2-7 Memphis, Minnesota. Oh man, I thought this was going to be like it started off being like one of the most exciting, and now it's just kind of like, man, it's like who's going to suck tonight? You know, that's what it's turned into. But I mean, I did want to real quick just touch my last thought. And it's one thing. It's on Cat. He is not a superstar. Sorry, he's not a superstar. I mean, he's a star, and it's clear, and everyone sees it. And he's just not a high IQ player. He doesn't make smart moves. And let's say, I don't even remember what game it was, game 5 or 6. I think it was 5, where Reggie Miller was talking. Oh no, was it Reggie Miller? No, Richard Jefferson. Somebody like Jason Richardson, Richard Jefferson, Josh Richardson. Richard Jefferson was talking about him because this was the game where he bounced back and he was like mad. I don't know if y'all have watched and kept up with the games, watched the games, but he came out with this like high intensity and was almost like just angry, right? And I guess this was after they blew the 2 25-point leads in the game before and lost that game. So this, I guess, was game 5. And Richard Jefferson was talking about, like, I like this intensity, but he needs to be smart through it. And then, like, the next play, he, like, has a stupid foul. And I was like, exactly, that's why. Because he just plays to his emotions way too much, and he's not smart. And I don't think he's a superstar. That's it. That's my takeaway. And that's why I don't think they're going to go far until Anthony Edwards says, this is my team. I'm going to take over. And this is we go as far as I go. That's what it's going to be with Anthony Edwards. So there you go. Nathan, you go.
I think the combination of it being Cat and D'Lo and Anthony Edwards, like there's no like real like, I mean, there might be some big guys who like want to stick their chest out and act tough and try to be the man, but like nobody there is like really the man. And Cat's, I agree. You know, I think Cat's a star, and I think Cat's going to be good on whatever team he's on. And I think he'd be like we talked about Michael Finley, like bad team, big stats player. I think he could be like if he goes like the Knicks, I think he might average like 25 a game. But I think the combination of those three, and with Anthony Edwards still being so young, I don't think there's really like a guy on that team yet who's going to come out and lead them in the way they need to in order to get anywhere. I see the talent. I see the opportunity to be good. And I like the construction of the team with Jaden McDaniels and Jared Vanderbilt and Pat Bev. And I like those guys have, but I just don't think they're there yet. And I think you're right. The series has kind of been thrown back and forth between who's going to have the more problems tonight. And I think part of that is like none of these guys have been there. Patrick Beverley's the only player in this series with playoff experience. And you see that the only way you really see that is like he takes so many shots where it's kind of taken away from their ability to be successful. But he's the only guy who's been there in this whole series between both teams. And so it's just kind of been just this back and forth. And I looked at it, the Timberwolves are up 3 at halftime. And I mean, I really would never have guessed this would be the only like 7-game series to happen in these playoffs. Like, I would never have thought, but here we are. And here we are.
Yeah.
Great points, fellas. I just want to sum it up by saying the Timberwolves are the dumbest team in the NBA. I'm sorry. I've seen smarter players in elementary than this team, man. I'm serious.
I agree with you.
It starts with the coach. First of all, that one game, the 221 leads they lost. One time they went 21-0 run, no timeout doing that. He's stupid. Anthony Edwards, he's young. You know, now what I love about it is he's a budding superstar. I mean, this guy is going to be impeccable. So, Sal, I tell you the greatest player of all time is Kobe Bryant. So I've seen a star, a budding superstar, fail in the playoffs before.
Don't get him started. Started.
Failed in the playoffs before, airball after airball against, I believe, Utah. So I've seen it. So this doesn't make his career. But Cat, I'm right there with you, Sal. This dude's done. I can't do it no more. I'm sorry. It don't make no sense. He's still this dumb. And it's like I'm trying not to go too hard on him, but it's just like he's discombobulated at all times. Like, what's up with your balance? What is how you? It's like he got cardboard for knees or something. I don't know what it is, bro. It just it bothers me, and he has so much talent. He has so much talent. It's being wasted, and I think you guys mentioned Pat Bev and the bravado that they have, and I think Pat Bev put a battery in his back or something, because Draymond came out saying he wants Cat to be himself because he's never known him to be a talker. And this Draymond said he seems like every time he begin to talk, when they get a big lead, that's when they lose the lead. Yeah. So it don't make any sense. Right now we're doing this, and it's in the third quarter of Game 6, so we're assuming it's going to go 7. It don't matter how big this league get tonight. I don't know what's going to happen. We just don't know. But if it does go 7, I think Memphis pulls it out. But it's just a frustrating series. I haven't been this frustrated watching a series in a long time.
I think the fact that Memphis has not been able to just kind of buckle up and take care of this series just shows how young they are and how we knew that was going to be the case for them.
Yep.
And so I mean, it's just very telling for them. I know that they match up well against the Warriors, right? And they have history, these two teams, from that that play-in team. But it's a different Warriors team this year for sure.
Hold on, Sam. Every time you mention the Warriors, you just get my blood boil.
Bro,
look at the season series between the two teams. Since you said Warriors started so hot, Memphis got the best of them this year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's part of what I'm talking about. What they have, I guess that's part of that history where they match up well against them. But the playoffs is a whole different beast, and they are showing how young they are, especially in this series. I fully think that the Warriors probably could have put this series away. What do you think, Nathan? Am I alone on this?
No, I mean, I understand. I think Memphis is young, and I think I heard somebody talk about this the other day where like the most consistent player for the Grizzlies in this series has been like Desmond Bane, and that like John Morant just hasn't been on this stage yet and like hasn't had to do this yet, and they've had to make adjustments where like Steven Adams can't play anymore, and so now it's guys like Xavier Tillman and Brandon Clark are having to pick up the slack, and those are guys who haven't done this before. And so I think it is a big combination of too young and not there yet. But again, like they got the ability to do it. It's just kind of like when we talk about the Warriors, have been there, done that. And Jamelle's right. Like, it is a 3-1 series. And I know we'll talk about this more when we get to the second round stuff. But it is like the Warriors never had their full complement this whole season. And I think a big part of why you can get so excited about Warriors basketball in this series, in a 5-game series against the Nuggets, is like they're all back now. It's Clay, and Steph, and Draymond, and now you add in Jordan Poole, and they're giving Jonathan Kuminga some run at the 5. And Kevin
I was excited about that.
And so I think the big difference between the regular season Warriors and the playoff Warriors now is just like everybody's back. And we'll talk about that more in second round matchup stuff. But I think that's kind of the big thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's a great segue. Gotta work on those segues to the last one, and that is the 1-8, the 1 seed being decided last night, the Suns versus the New Orleans Pelicans. You start, Jamelle. I know that you had some thoughts about CJ McCollum and this New Orleans team that, like we said before, they're frisky. They're good. I was really pulling for them. I thought it was possible for them to really push it, to be able to push it to 7, and they almost did. So give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, my one takeaway, CJ McCollum, is what we thought he was. And you see, I think he was always the issue in Portland because of my theory on small point guards cannot win, can't carry a team to a championship.
Here we go. Oh my! Nathan, so we've been debating this for like last 3 shows.
Look through history, you won't see it, brother. I'm just saying. But I'm saying that in those series back in the day, I'm gonna be real quick. When Dame, for instance, against the Warriors, when they got swept one year, Dame was getting double teamed off the screen and roll every time, getting double teamed. They was blitzing him. All they need was CJ just to give him 30, 35, give him something to make them stop their double team. But he just couldn't. He always falls under pressure, and he did it again in this series, mainly in Game 6. And it wasn't just his shots. He was making just dumb plays. Even right before he got in the final stretch around the fourth quarter, they was making a run. Jose was doing his thing. Brandon Ingram making clutch shots. Then the rookies, I think they had 3 rookies on the court at one time, doing well. Brought CJ in, turnover, missed 3 after missed 3. I'm tired of this guy. But I think looking forward, just my last thought, it's going to be a good fit for him to be the third guy, because Zion came out today saying that he's willing to re-up. So that's good news. With B.I., with Zion and CJ being the third guy, with all these, talented rookies, hopefully Jackson can get them more going forward or something. I don't know. But, even with Valanciunas, they got a solid core going forward. And they gave Phoenix a run for their money. And, you can't be mad at that from where their season started at 1-12, I believe.
Okay. What do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was cool to see at the end the team come together and pull off those 2 play-in wins, be able to get in the play-in, beat the Clippers, and then finally to get a chance. It seemed like they were really kind of meshing at the end. By the end there, it was really becoming the team that everybody in New Orleans kind of wanted, and to do it without Zion is impressive. And I think that does bode well for next year. You finally add Zion in, and it's going to take away from BI and CJ. Maybe I think it's going to help CJ. I think it's going to be interesting what happens next year. Really look at it. This Brandon Ingram's numbers maybe drop because he is so isolation mid post first kind of player, and does CJ's numbers maybe rise a little bit when you add Zion in, who can drive and draw guys and kick and do all those things. And so I think it's a really I think there's a lot to look forward to in New Orleans, which we wouldn't have said that even 1 month ago. I don't think.
I don't think when they added CJ McCollum, right?
Yeah,
when they added CJ McCollum, right?
Yeah. And it feels a lot better. I would imagine to be a New Orleans Pelicans fan right now. And I will say this: I am from Alabama. My parents went to the University of Alabama, so I've been watching Herb Jones play for 5 years now.
That's awesome.
And I could have told you he was going to be this type of player in the NBA 3-4 years ago. I love how long he is in his defense, and he could never really score all that well, but he was awesome. His senior at Alabama, he was Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC, tournament MVP. I could have told you this was coming, but I'm so excited for him to get this kind of national stage to do it on.
Shout out to Avery Johnson before they fired him. It's one of his recruits.
It was.
Man, Avery Johnson, I can just hear his voice. I can't really do it. I can't do it, but it's like
it's so distinct.
I can't even try. But I can just hear it in my head. No, man, this team, I don't disagree in the fact with CJ McCollum that yes, he's not going to be like the guy that leads them to anything really. That would have to be Zion, maybe Brandon Ingram. I don't know, but I mean, Brandon Ingram has been around a while now, and it would be Zion. So that leads me to the question. My question for you guys is: do you think that this team, what they have accomplished, which hasn't really been much, but at least gotten to where they were and surprising everybody, or gotten to this point and surprising everybody and playing the way that they have, is it enough to make Zion want to play with them and want to continue in New Orleans? Now, I know, of course, that's me just pressing into the speculation of like, okay, what's going on with this dude? Like, why this is a weird situation. He hasn't flat out said, I don't want to be here, but he shows all the signs that we've seen in the history of guys who have left teams. So again, this team, what they have turned into at this point, is it enough to keep Zion?
Well, unless he's a flat out liar, it will be, because he said today, like, he's going to, pick up the option on his contract. He said, I can't sign it fast enough. So
was that today?
Yeah, it was today. But forget that, man. This guy got to get in shape. I mean, he looked like me up there. It's like, he got to get in shape, man. He needs to worry about himself, He
looks big.
He's huge.
Big.
He's huge. And he always has been. But I don't know, man. But I think so. Just answer your question directly. I think it is. They put enough people around him. He'll be stupid to leave at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Kyrie Irving did tell the Celtics fans that he wanted to come back. Happens all the time. So
DeAndre Jordan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man,
exactly right. Oh, don't even. Ooh,
so that fool name, man.
Yeah,
I'm still mad. The Mavs was getting him the second time. Like, what? Why?
We were better for it, honestly. His decline was fast. And it's just another player just down the line of like played with Chris Paul and was better because of him, Anyways, I think Zion would be stupid to not at least give this team a shot. When you look down the roster, you're like, man, these are guys that can really scrap, guys that can really play. Valanciunas, I think, is underrated as just a solid big man. He can score, and he just gives you a lot of energy. And so I think Zion. I think what will be difficult is that between Brandon Ingram, Zion, and CJ McCollum, they all need the ball. They're all going to want the ball. And it's really, if Zion can be the guy that he was that last season, I guess? It feels like forever ago, where he had that stretch where he was like almost like 60% plus, from the field goal percentage. And so if he can be that Zion, who almost did he make the All-Star team?
No, he didn't.
Right, almost made the All-Star team.
Almost, yeah.
And just playing out of his mind, honestly. Like, if he can be that Zion, then yes, you would hope that those guys would be like, okay, let's defer to this guy, and this is the future, and this is how we're going to win. So, anyways, I think that's
okay.
Again, that would be done with him to not at least take a chance.
One quick thing. it sounds crazy, but you guys play him at point because that's always been in his bag. Like he grew up a point guard, and then if you notice, some stretches they did that last year. Just played him at point, and he was getting like 5, 6 assists. I know it sounds crazy, but you think about who is their legit point guard right now. Jose is not going to do that. Like to me, he's not going to be a playmaker. He's just going to set up the offense, which is pretty much all you need. But Zion can be a playmaker as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think they go to it. I think they'll definitely try it. They'd be dumb not to. At least try it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't mention. I forgot to then say that obviously this was over in 6 games.
6.
Yes. So a lot of games. I guess we'll get into the Eastern Conference. A lot of these were over in 6. Anything else before we get to? Let's do round. We'll get to the predictions. So let's give our predictions. Let's go back to the Mavericks. The Mavericks are now going to be playing the Suns. Okay, in round 2. Predictions. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Nathan.
Man, I look at this series and I think it's going to be tough. I see the Suns, like I go position by position, and every Sun has the upgrade from Utah. I mean, Chris Paul versus Mike Conley. I think you take Chris Paul every day. I think D-Book versus Donovan Mitchell is closer, but I think you still take Devin Booker day in and day out. I think Mikal Bridges is an upgrade over Royce O'Neal by a long shot, especially with how he's been playing on offense this last series. And I think you just go down a lot. DeAndre Ayton shot over 70% from the field in that series against the Pelicans. And I think it's going to be, I think with how much we struggle with Rudy Gobert in the paint, rebounding, putbacks around the rim, all the tip ins, I think DeAndre Ayton's just a better version of that. And I think it's going to be tough for us to match up with. I think what we do have on our side as far as Dallas goes is just is Luka. And I think the pathway to win this series is Luka's going to have to average 30 plus, and we're going to have to shoot the ball really well. I think JB is going to have to keep rolling, and Luka's going to have to pop off. And I think the big way we really take this series from Phoenix, because I really think we would have to win this series, or Phoenix had to lose this series. And I think that's going to be just Luka's going to have to go off, and we're going to have to shoot the lights out the ball, because it's a tough matchup for us. It really is.
Yeah.
Good point.
So you said repeat that. So you said, what was the prediction?
Oh, I would say Phoenix in 6.
Okay.
I think that at the end of the day, there's just too much firepower. I think we'll make it tough. I don't think we'll get swept. But I would say Phoenix in 6.
Okay. Jamelle?
Yeah, I think the craziest thing about, I'm going to take you guys back to 2011. Craziest thing about 2011 that happened every round, one round would prepare you for the next round. Basically, the matchups and the way the team was structured that we played against set us up for the next one. The Portland was similar to the Lakers. OKC was similar to Miami. And I think what Nathan said is spot on, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, Utah pretty much is a way lesser version of Phoenix, But I think the thing that I take away, DeAndre is definitely better on the offensive end. He can finish better. Gobert was 60% from the field in the paint, and just in 2-point range overall in the regular season. But we was able to neutralize that in our series. But I don't think that's going to be the case for DeAndre. I think he'll be able to finish majority of the time. But on defense, DeAndre is very good, I should say. I'm not going to say he's not, but he's not as good of of course, rim protector as Gobert. I mean, Gobert had these guys not even attempting some layups, in the first round. So I think they'll be a little bit more aggressive in that aspect. I really got faith in this team, man. Not only the team, referring to the Mavs, the coaching staff. Like, these guys adjust so well. In-game adjustments, and honestly, it's going to come down to the Mavs making shots or not. because with Luka running the offense, we're gonna get a good look every trip down the court, every trip. So it's gonna be all upon Dodo, all upon Book to keep doing what they're doing. Maxi, if we get another game like he at least 5 threes, he's gonna get open looks no matter what. It's gonna be predicated on that. So with that said, it's hard, but I'm gonna say Phoenix in 7. I'm gonna say Phoenix in 7. I think, and then you look at the regular season matchups, guys. Luka didn't play, I believe, in 2 of those. We played them 3 times. Luka didn't play in 2.
Yep.
In every one of those games we lost, Mavs had a lead going to the fourth quarter. And at that time, they were not as clutch as they are now.
Yeah.
So I'm banking on that. But at the end of the day, home court advantage, I give to Phoenix. But unless we can get like a monumental legacy building performance from Luka.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the leading to the fourth. I'm pretty sure, I don't know. I mean, I don't have it pulled up, but the stat specifically, and I know it's a pretty specific one, but we have been one of the better teams, I guess, in the second half of the season and even in the playoffs, one of the better teams having the lead going into the fourth.
Right.
And I think I think we're a good third quarter team. And there's a lot of value in that, and I think that's going to help us. But of course, then the Suns are a great fourth quarter team and the most clutch team in the NBA. And so, I mean, we can't have at least one of us picking the Mavs. I mean, so I guess I'll be the guy. But if I'm going to pick the Mavs, I would have to say that it's going to have to be 7. They're going to have to force it to 7, and Luka's going to have it would be Luka balling out in game 7 and taking it, So I guess just the whole series, like you said, honestly, but I think it's possible. I mean, we have shown that we are resilient, and that even with Luka off the floor, we know how to play. The Mavs know how to play. Jalen Brunson, I mean, it's difficult because obviously it's with Luka on the floor, with Luka playing. Lineups are just kind of change already anyways, and so it's not like the same as like not having him there. But I think in this last game, in game 6 against the Jazz, when Luka was off the floor, you could kind of see that they were reverting back to like, oh, hey, like we know kind of how this flow is with whether it's JB or Dinwiddie running the offense, and they just know, okay, we're going to run a little bit more, we're going to play a little bit faster. And then there was even times with Luka where he was like, okay, I can do that, a little bit of that too, and that's when you would get all these, you started to see the defensive intensity come back that they lost in game 4, right? Because it slowed down. I think the game slowing down in that game 4, kind of, they lost that intensity on the defensive side of the floor. And I think in game 6, you kind of saw a little bit more of a marriage of like, okay, when Luka has when he's running the half court, it's going to be slow, but we're going to get good looks. And then when he's off, they're like, okay, we could pick it up a little bit. Or again, like I said, the marriage of the two, where like on the defensive side, Luka's like actually playing defense and getting steals and throwing it down court, and JB is taking it, and maybe he's going to the hole, or maybe then he's quickly finding somebody that's in the corner or whatever. So all that to say is I think they're figuring it out. Possible, but it would have to be in I think in 7 games. I think unless y'all have something else that you really want to get to, let's move on, because we're going to be here. We're already about an hour in, so that means on the East we're going to have to we'll just blow by, okay? So the next matchup, luckily round 2 obviously is just the 4 teams, so we can't really give our prediction completely yet. We do know one of the teams, obviously being the Warriors, And then what's the score right now? I don't have the game in front of me.
77-72, Minnesota, but they were just up by, of course, 15 just a moment ago. But go ahead.
So let's just give the prediction of like either if it's this or that, right? So I think if it's Memphis, y'all, I promise I am a Dallas Mavericks fan, okay? I do like the Warriors and I think they're really good. If it's Memphis, I think they win it in 5. If it's Minnesota, they're sweeping their asses. It's a sweep. Get the brooms out. So that's it. That's all I have. Go. One of y'all.
If it's Memphis, I agree they win in 5. If it's Minnesota, I think it would be 6. I think because one thing I didn't say about Minnesota earlier, they had a team only meeting supposedly yesterday, and
those are so great.
Exactly. But apparently it was supposed to address they're acknowledging at least how stupid they've been playing. So if they come back, win this game tonight, and then win a game 7, to me they fix a few things. So the basketball game more than any other sport, I believe, is a game of matchups. That's a horrible matchup for the on the defensive end, I should say, for the Warriors. Like, who's going to guard Ant? Who's going to guard Cat? I know Draymond can get in his head, but physically speaking, if Cat play his game, yeah. And then, I think it would be every game would be like 110 to 105, something like that. It's going to be a high scoring series. But I still think, and you better hope, Sal, your prediction on the Mavs not right. Because if it's Mavs and Warriors, I'm going Mavs and 6. Go ahead.
I guess I'm gonna be bold here. I'm gonna call a sweep either way. I think either way.
I wanted to do it so badly.
I don't think it matters. I think Memphis. I think either way, either of these teams are too young, like we just talked about earlier, and we're watching this first round series of these teams that like don't play good playoff basketball, and I believe in teams that have been there and teams that have players that have done it. And I think either way, I think it's a sweep. I think they sweep either of these teams.
Y'all gonna make me root against the Warriors, honestly.
Jamelle's probably thinking, "Oh, this is my style." But I picked the guess. I picked the first guess.
Are you good, man? Okay. I think the Warriors have convinced y'all that they are a dynasty. They have convinced y'all. It's 2 different teams, y'all. This team won 1 championship. Kevin Durant and the Warriors won 3. I mean, you know what I mean. I'm just saying, I got to see it. I'm sorry. They're a small team, very small team. And the Mavs are too, but Mavs are way better defensive team.
You sound like you were like one of the people who was like, "Oh man, they ruined the NBA with Kevin Durant." You sound like one of those guys that's recovering from being burned by this or something.
I love the Warriors. I promise you, I love the Warriors because they are all underdogs. The guys they have on the team now are all underdogs. I didn't mind against KD, but that was strictly an unstoppable team, and I think we just still leaning on that as opposed to what we're seeing now.
That's fair.
I'm just saying. Let's just see it first. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. So that's it. That was it. That's it. Okay. It sucks that this game's not over, that this series not over. We don't know for sure, but we'll see how it shakes out. I'm excited for it. Okay, you guys ready for the East?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. You have any thoughts on any of the first round series? I don't think we need to go down the line. Like, honestly, like I could go quick. If we start with 4-5, I was pulling for the Raptors. I wanted to see them come back from 3-0. I wanted it. I don't really trust Philly. I don't think that they're going to win the next series. James Harden, who knows what kind of James Harden you're going to get. I don't know. I just get like I get the feelings of like kind of having like anxiety from watching this team, like I used to with KP on the
Wow.
floor with Luka. Like, to be honest, y'all, there's the that I don't know if y'all remember if y'all felt this way, but there's the anxiety of like, oh, is it going to work? Is it happening? Is it happening? And like maybe sometimes even when it did look good, it was like, oh, I don't know, and that's how I feel about this Philly team. So that that's my thought for that.
Well, I'm not sure if you heard the news yet. I was gonna wait till we got to the next matchup, next round. But Embiid is out indefinitely. He got an orbital injury.
Man, I was just out on all the news today.
It's all good. It just
I
happened
didn't see that.
it just happened like an hour ago. So yeah, so he's out.
Oh, because I mean he was playing through it, and then I guess this last game, I do remember saying there was like he had that moment where I don't know if it was a collision or whatever, but he was like really hurting. So I guess that was kind of like sent it over the top. That sucks.
Yeah, so that goes into the next round, but I do want to say just salute to the Boston Celtics. Man, it's incredible what they did in the first round, and it's just impressive basketball to see overall, sweeping the Nets like that. But I'm so happy Kyrie Irving's got. I can't stand the guy. He's on my James Harden list, and he came out today saying the coverage and stuff he's getting, the talk he's getting is racist. It's because he's black and all this stuff. Like, bro, chill out.
Come on, dude.
You don't play ball. I mean, it's
get
what
over
it is.
yourself.
Yes, but anyway, I'm so happy they put him out their misery. It felt good.
Now they're going to manage this team. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Nathan.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on any series?
Any series? Yeah. I mean, I will say
that series.
Yeah, Toronto was a trendy pick. I mean, a lot of people wanted Toronto to win that matchup.
Right.
I will say.
It was the sicko pick, the NBA sicko pick. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, I will say I was impressed by like the Heat's handling of that Hawks team. I know the Hawks team has struggled a lot, but was resurging and looked good that latter half of the year, getting into the playoffs and being able to make it into the 8th seed because it didn't look like it was going to happen for a while. They were on the down, and I thought the way it gave me a lot of, I guess, hope. I feel like a lot of people share this opinion. I don't love James Harden. I think it's kind of annoying to watch him play sometimes and the way he plays. And I think if you watch how they played Trae Young, and it was I saw this stat, it's the biggest drop in points per game from a single player in a playoff series in like 20 years. Wow. And like Trae Young was averaging like 24 points a game in the regular season, and then come playoffs in the first round, he averaged 17. And so like he like as far as like a star player that like a team relies on, like they just neutralized him. And
that brings me so much joy.
It really and to bleed like Jamelle did a little bit into that next series, like it's that Jimmy Butler. It's that leftover feelings from when he was in Philadelphia with those guys, and I'm not going to be shocked if there's some heated arguments there and a lot of texts in that series. I know some of those guys don't like him still.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
absolutely. Just going at Trae Young real fast, just to put another feather in my cap to my small point guard theory. Just let you know.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
It reigns true, brother. It reigns true.
You're not okay. Okay, I don't even want to get into it again. Okay,
I just want to keep saying it.
I mean, like, okay, fine. It's because Nathan's here. We're just so Jamelle's thing, like he said, is that he thinks that you can't win with small guys, but obviously there are exceptions.
There are a few.
And I want to retort on that. Because I said D Rose was an exception, AI that they got their teams pretty far, but push come to shove, AI didn't get the job done. I don't think they can lead you as the primary guy to a championship. I'm not gonna say Isaiah wasn't it, and I'm not gonna say Steph wasn't it, but I'm talking about crunch time. And if you look at those finals, crunch time, it was never Steph. It was never Isaiah. I'll just leave it at that.
and I'm gonna be sorry, Sal. I'm sorry to hurt you, but I'm with Jamelle on this one. And I am too a believer in that it's hard to win with small guards, and I think that Steph and Isaiah are two really good examples. But I think overwhelmingly, I think the history shows us that small guards struggle to be successful and struggle to be successful for long periods of time. These guards who are so relied on, who are under 6'2", like it just doesn't. Their careers they aren't successful for as long, and like that's what makes Steph an aberration and like really impressive in some of these guys. But I am with Jamelle on this one. I will say. So sorry, Sal.
Yeah. I mean, and here's my thing. I've said before, it's not necessarily that I think that like I don't necessarily disagree. I guess the argument started more with the fact that like Steph really is the exception, you know, and that he is, I guess, one of the exceptions. So I guess more so the argument is the crunch time kind of thing. But I don't know. Y'all are that makes me want to just like pull for the Suns. And so that freaking Chris Paul can like can win and
I hear you.
say that he did it, you know.
I mean,
it's not even worth getting into.
I mean, you look at his history too. You can look at his history. Right. Yeah. I mean,
again, I'm not saying that's not completely like that. I don't know. Obviously, history says that the bigger, stronger, best players are the ones that are going to win, right, and lead you all the way. Like it's there, you know. But I just think that we are still kind of slowly turning into this. No, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. I'm at this point. I'm just being a contrarian, you know. but I think more than anything, it was more like the argument between like can Steph lead you, right? This specifically, with me thinking that they're going to go to the finals, right, Jamelle? It was me saying they're going to go to the finals, and I think they're going to win it most likely, and then you thinking that they're probably not with Steph leading them. We'll see. I don't know, but
I think they can get there.
Yeah,
winning it is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's
just me. But yeah.
All right, cool. Let's go to right. We went right back to the Western Conference. So let me think. I didn't really have anything else that really stuck out that I wanted to talk about before we get into the next round, because we can talk about kind of as we do our predictions, obviously talk about the previous round for those teams. So let's just get right to the predictions. So we're going to have it doesn't really matter where. I guess we can start with Boston, right? Beat Brooklyn, swept Brooklyn. Man. Okay, now real fast. It's crazy to me. I can't remember the last time how I don't know if this has ever happened, at least for me watching, where I thought, oh, this is going to be the most exciting series in the first round, and then ended up being the only sweep of the series, you know. And I think arguably it was still one of the more exciting ones, besides maybe the last maybe game or so, you know.
It was ever so exciting.
Yeah, it was even then, you know. So it's crazy. I think I heard a stat, something of it being like the smallest margin or something of as far as like the smallest margin of wins. I don't even know it, as far as like it was the closest, but yet it was still, as far as the totals of points in the victories, for then it being a sweep. Does that make sense? I don't know if even that made sense coming out of my mouth at all.
No, I hear you.
But it's crazy, just crazy to think, and it's exciting to see Jason Tatum. I don't know if I'm fully convinced. I said this in the last show that Jason Tatum is there. You know, like I don't see that. I don't want to throw out Mamba mentality like everybody is, but but that grit, I haven't really seen that yet for Jason Tatum, and hopefully that's going to come out. I think there's been like little bits of it, but that's why. I mean, I'm really interested, obviously, in this next round to see what level what's the next level that he goes to. So it's going to be the Boston Celtics versus, if I can see close enough right there, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that this one is going to go the distance. I think this is another Game 7 one. And ultimately, I have to go with talking about dominant players. I know my camera's everywhere. Sorry, y'all. Dominant players and big players. But I have to go Milwaukee in 7, just with the pure belief in Giannis getting it done, even though they're going to be going up against an elite defense in the Celtics. But that's just me betting on Zion, on Giannis. What about you, Nathan?
Man, I just think without Chris Middleton, it's going to be really tough. I think with guys like Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen being relied on more, and I know they can do those things. Grayson Allen shot pretty well, spot up threes. Pat Connaughton as well from game to game, but I believe in this Boston defense and in just the tandem that they have offensively. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I would agree. Jason Tatum might not all the way be there yet. I think he is really good. I think he is in that you might be able to argue superstar category, but I think he's got, and it's exciting if you're a Boston fan, I think he's got steps to go still. But I think the combination with him and Jaylen Brown and how well some of those other guys have been playing, and I think they just got options to guard Giannis. I think they got 3-4 guys that they can throw at Giannis. And I think without Chris Middleton as that second leading scorer, I think it's going to be tough for Milwaukee to match with them. I think Boston, my prediction for this series would actually, I'd go Boston in 6 would be for me. That's what I would think. Yeah, I would think they would win it in 6.
Yeah, I mean, I that wouldn't shock me, honestly. I'm just, it's hard to bet it. This is how you know that Giannis has kind of taken the torch, I think, from LeBron in a sense, where it's like I'm at the point where like I don't want to bet against him, Now, of course, he doesn't dominate the ball in the same way where it's like you give it to him and he's going to, I mean, like he can't score really like in every way at a high level like LeBron James or the up and coming players like a Jason Tatum, right? But still, it's just seems hard to bet against him. But you're right. I don't know. I think it could go either way. But yeah, that's a really good point. Jamelle, what about you?
It's just fascinating to me, man. Ime Udoka has another series where he's playing against a coach or a team that he's familiar with. Him and Budenholzer come from the same system on the pop. And so it's going to be two teams that are very similar when it comes to their strategies and schemes. And basically they're going to know each other inside and out, I would say. But yeah, Middleton not being there is the biggest cog of this, the biggest thing that I think that separates the two teams. Because if he was there, I think it would be severely equal matchup, So, just seeing him doing the pick and roll, because when push comes to shove, I think that's the thing that set them apart in the finals last year, Middleton and Giannis pick and roll. And not having that in this series is going to be big. I don't see how Giannis pull it by himself. My boy Holiday, the best defender in the NBA, he's gonna lock up somebody, but what can he contribute on the offensive end? Like Nathan said, I don't know how much. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have spot up shooters and things like that, but I mean, it's not a one tier or one layer of defense that Boston brings. Like they are multiple rotations, multiple efforts at all times. So I just don't see Milwaukee having enough power, knowing that Middleton's out the entire series. So I too have to go Boston in 6, especially with them having home court. Love Giannis, but that wall is going up. The Great Wall of Boston is going up, and it's going to be tough. He got to, he got to make some threes and some jump shots, and I think Boston will be willing to give that up, and they'll close it out in 6.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to succumb to the to this wave of Boston. Maybe because I'm just like they're like the Mavericks equivalent of the East of making that push and towards the end of the the season, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just we'll see how this goes. I mean, you guys make really really good case for that, obviously with Middleton being out, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's go to the next one. We alluded a little bit to it with the Philadelphia 76ers without Joel Embiid, apparently, against the Miami Heat. I'll start with this one again as well. I think, especially now with Embiid out, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be as bold as I'm thinking.
Do it.
Go for it.
But Tyrese Maxey, I mean, like, it's like in my head. I'm like, oh man. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Why not? Let's make it fun. That Miami team. Sure, you can make the argument there's no Lowry, but Victor Oladipo dropped 23, in the last game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you got him balling, then and no Lowry, and the whole team is just that team concept. And honestly, Jimmy Butler does not get enough credit for being the glue guy, even though he in the past has been the guy who's rubbed people the wrong way. He's pushed his way out of Minnesota. He had his differences with the coach in Philly, who is no longer there. But I do think that he kind of has been the best, like the epitome of a captain and a glue guy there for all these kind of misfit kind of guys in Miami, and they are just like dogs, man. They just play hard, and I think they're going to sweep. I really do think they're going to sweep. If anything, I would, if not a sweep, then in 5. Give maybe James Harden or Tyrese Maxey a game.
Huh. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Yeah, right. It's like James Harden, Houston James Harden. If all of a sudden he can turn into that, like he does every now and then, just like randomly.
It's gonna have to if they got no Joel Embiid.
I know, yeah. Jamelle, you go.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a sweep. I would be more
definitely.
I'll be saying the same thing. Honestly, if Embiid was there, I have no faith in Philly, especially no faith in Doc Rivers. I tell you, he's the most overrated coach in the NBA. But yeah, with him being out, it really hinges on 4 or 5 if Jimmy Butler's knee is a really concern or not, because he's been having a flare up. But if he's there off for 4 games, it's going to be whatever 4 games he plays. It's going to be a win every game. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, that's what I see, and I think this is the end of an short era for Doc Rivers as well. I think he gets fired maybe a week or so after the season's over for him. But yeah, Miami. To me, it's going to be a dogfight going forward between them and Miami. I mean, them and Boston. So I'm looking forward to what's coming. Let's get this out the way, fellas.
Yeah, that sounds like an exciting conference final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for Philly with no Joel Embiid. I think if they had him, I think it'd be an awesome series. I think it'd be great to see what Miami does with a couple of mismatches and how they guard Joel Embiid. But if he's not there, I think it's 5. I think it's Miami in 5. I think we get one James Harden game where he just dials it back to Houston, where everyone stands in the corner and he just goes for 45. I think we get one of those. But I think it's going to be Miami in 5 because I don't see a way around it if you don't got one of the best players, a top MVP candidate on your team. If he's not there, it's just going to be too much for them. I don't think it's going to be feasible.
Y'all missing something.
What? Go.
It couldn't be a worse city for James Harden to play in.
I know, seriously.
This dude, he gonna be so focused on the after the game, the strip club and all this stuff. He ain't worried about that game. He ready to get it over as fast as possible. He gonna
especially when like honestly, like if we really want to talk about this, especially if he's thinking, okay, well, Joel's out, so it's not my fault if we lose.
Thank you. He got a built-in excuse. This dude, y'all keep saying, when the last time we seen the throwback James Harden game? Last year? He didn't have any this year.
When he first got traded to Philly, didn't he drop like 40 in one of those games? Or something like that.
He had like 35. I think he set the record for like most points in the first 2 games as a Philly or as a 76er.
And if I recall, it was against maybe the Wizards and the Knicks, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Okay. And and that's just my whole, let me show Brooklyn that they messed up on me type deal. But now it's time for real to play. And we bringing up, we didn't say this, and this, it's a discredit to myself and you guys at this point. I should say Miami probably got the second or third best defense after Boston and maybe the Mavs or whatever in Milwaukee, whoever order you want to put it in. But they're going to get in this dude's head. It's not even just going to be about physicality. They're going to be in his head, and they're going to be talking junk to him, and he going to cower down. It's just what he does. So I don't know what playoff history y'all leaning on to let you think that we're going to get a James Harden game. I don't know.
Yeah. If you can get calls, if you can get foul calls and get to the line, maybe.
Thank you. Everybody keeps saying what happened to James Harden. That's what happened. They changed these rules, and they made it harder to get to the free throw line. Everybody say he used to average 30 points a game and such and such. No, that dude averaged 15 free throws a game too. So let's call it what it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt we all see. I mean, we're just not being completely forward with it that Miami is just like, again, there's just a group of dogs, and they're no matter what, they're going to probably just stomp this team. So we're just talking about the difference between no games or one game,
right?
and honestly, I think it's more likely for Tyrese Maxey to just kind of go off and maybe win a close game for them than James Harden, because that dude can ball, and he's shown that.
For sure, man.
So we'll see. All right, guys. Any other thoughts in the Eastern Conference? We're about an hour and a half in now, so
I think I'm good, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be great. Do y'all have a favorite one that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh, Mavs and Suns.
Okay. Is it just? I mean, like,
the homer pick.
No, honestly, if I wasn't a fan, I think it's gonna be some great coaching. I'm looking forward to the coaching and the matchups, like nightmares and everything they create. I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be a great series of like 2 basketball savants, Chris Paul, Luka, and when I say savant, I mean mentally, and just I think it's just 2 great, all well-oiled machine teams all around. So I just think it's going to be a great matchup, good for basketball overall.
I do think it's the most exciting, honestly. Without it, like, again, it's not. This is me not being a homer, like you said as well. I do think it's the most exciting one. So,
yeah, I gotta go Boston, Milwaukee for me. I think that's gonna be really exciting to see how I just from a love of basketball, of just how Boston chooses to guard Giannis and what they do schematically. I think it's gonna be really fun. I think if I had to say the most dramatic series though, is going to be Miami Philadelphia. I think that's going to be really dramatic. I think a really fun series to watch basketball wise is going to be Milwaukee Boston. I think it's going to be fun basketball.
That would be my second pick for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Let's go stay lose. I can't wait to do that another podcast with you guys. I can't wait.
Let's go. Let's do it. I'll be ready for it. So, listen, everybody, tune into the next one when we kind of go through a middle of the second round. Kind of, hey, where are our heads? What's going on, y'all? We'll do one of those, and of course, we're gonna keep dropping the dimes moving forward, especially when we find out what the conference finals are gonna be. Oh, I can't wait, guys! Let's go. So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Droppin' Dimes. See you guys.